Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com, and welcome back to the studio for another live session at 3 o'clock. Y'all bear with me if my voice starts to go. There's not much I can do about it. I feel like there's a spike going through the back of my head. Don't worry, if I've got the COVID, y'all are safe viewing from there. You know, my producer over there, he may be in jeopardy, but you know, he'll just have to tough it out with me. So we're going to see if we can get a few of these questions answered in the time that I can keep my voice going. And I do want to start off with a couple that I missed last time, and one in particular was from Fred. He's asking about a Honda Zoomer X 2014, which we over here call a Honda Ruckus. And he says, what aftermarket suspensions are my options if I opt to use a 130 tire? All right, if memory serves, the 130 is the size, the stock size for the back. And I'm pretty sure you can go ahead and put the same size 130 on the front. And that's really not going to have any bearing on your suspension. I mean, that's, if anything, it's the other way around. Your suspension setup kind of dictates what size tire you can get on there. But that being said, I believe the leader out there for aftermarket suspensions is NCY. So you may want to look up their website and take a peek. I did before I came in here, and they have a pretty expansive line dedicated to the Ruckus, or what you call the Zoomer. So why don't you go take a peek and see if there's something they have that may work for you. But as far as you're using a 130 tire, it's not going to care or have any type of bearing on what type of suspension you want to go to. All right, next from Jason, and this is from last week. I have a TRX, the TRX 300EX. It won't start. Battery is good, fuse is good, but no lights on the dashboard. Any suggestions? Well, you're making a good start on this so far, no pun intended. I believe we did a similar machine, our TRX 300EX, where we went through a no start scenario. What I would go to next in your particular application and it not have any lights, I would be suspect of the actual on-off switch and focus on that, because you've already determined you've got a good battery and you've already checked your fuse. So next, well, why are we not getting power up to the lights, the display? And I would probably head to the actual on-off switch next. All right, well, they're starting to stack up over on the chat board, so let's run back over here and start getting some questions. Demonte is asking me, hey John, great videos, very informative, thank you. Can we look forward to some more in-depth videos on sport bikes in the future? Yes, you can. We've kind of been away from the sport bikes for a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get back into those, especially as springtime comes around. I've got the ZX14 that we've barely even touched. We've maybe done a couple of really basic ones on it, like brake pads and just an oil change, but we've got a whole lineup of stuff that we're going to do to it, so that'll be coming. If you've got one in particular that you want us to focus in on, as a group, y'all let me know, and we'll work on getting whatever machine that is in here, start working on it with whatever common problems that are out there that you'd like to see addressed. So y'all help us determine what ends up on the channel, because we're doing all this for y'all. Gulam's asking me, waiting for the YXZ1000R gear reduction video. I am too, but the good part is the actual gear reduction installation, as far as building it into the case, that's been done, and it is in my editor's hands, Tracy. So, and I have a feeling she's working on it right now, probably as we speak, and rolling her eyes at me all the way from her house up north. So, but it is coming. We still have yet to do the clutch on it, and then of course actually get it back into the frame, which we're changing the frame on this particular unit. We're going from, what is it, a 2015 or 16, we're updating it to a current frame, and then also relocating the radiator, etc. So, I mean, why not? The frame was bent anyway, let's go ahead and go and update it. So that's going to be a fun little challenge. Bradley, hey John, I received my swag pack the other day. Good. Thanks. I hope I can help more each time. Still looking forward to possibly meeting everyone and for enjoying a Q&A. Hey, I'm for it. So if you can get it lined up with the team, you're north of us, come on down. It'll be fun. All right, Charles is asking me, why do you think Honda makes it so difficult to change an air filter on a Goldwing? I don't know. I think they may be a little bit sadistic. It is unreal how tough it is to do one, and I don't care which year Goldwing you're trying to dive into, they are tough. We did with several different procedures on ours, and if you need help walking you through that, I think the video is like an hour long, or right at an hour, but I go bolt by bolt how to go all the way down to that air filter and then get all the way back out. So if you would reference the playlist for that particular unit, and I can help walk you through it. Don't be that afraid of it. Just take your time and lay out everything as you're pulling it apart. That way it'll be a lot easier to put it back together, because I don't know why, but just on what they call the shelf, there's like 6 different length and diameter screws just for that. I mean, really, Honda? You needed to do that to us? So just pay attention as you're taking it apart, and it'll go a lot smoother, because if you just put everything in a big pile, chances are you're not going to remember exactly where each nut and bolt went, and that's important for it to go back together smoothly. All right, Super says, I have a Can-Am 2017 Maverick 1000R non-turbo. Okay, what's your question? But if that's you just wanted the statement, congratulations, it's a fun machine. Fishing is sending in, just bought a 1988 Yamaha Moto 4 with only 800 miles. Talk about a time capsule. Reverse and first, hard to get into. Once it's in gear, it's fine. That makes me wonder if the idle's set a little too high and it's not wanting to shift into reverse or first easily because the RPM's a little bit too much. Make sure you're idled where it's supposed to be, and then we'll check that out first. Keep it simple. Start with that, find out what your RPM is, and then adjust accordingly. And cheers to you. Oh, Super was asking about his Maverick. What's the process to get more horsepower? Just like any other engine, I mean, you can go for the turbo if you want, but be careful with that, as I'm not sure what the compression ratio is on a non-turbo Maverick, and you may get yourself into trouble there. If you're just wanting a little bit more oomph, go ahead and address your exhaust system and maybe your intake, and then add in a programmer so you can manipulate the air-fuel ratios a little bit to get some more out of it. But if you're wanting the real horsepower, then you may need to look at one of the turbo kits. I'm not sure if Can-Am has a kit for upgrading a non-turbo one like some other companies do, but I would look there first. But if not, there's plenty of aftermarket ones out there. Go with the one that you find most reputable and that has a good track record for reliability, and most importantly, customer service, because that's a pretty serious endeavor if you want to head that direction. Byron is asking me, how long can you ride with a plug in the rear tire? I don't think there's a time limit on here, especially depending on what type of plug that you may be using. The ones, I'm not a big fan of plugs, but then again, I don't like throwing away brand new tires. But the one that I've always used, I think it's called Blackjack, real gummy stuff, and good grief, I've seen tires worn all the way down to the cord, and that plug is still in there. So there isn't really a time limit on it. It's just your level of comfort once your tire's been compromised, and just make sure don't ever try to plug one on either side or on your sidewalls. If it's right in the middle of the tread pattern, yeah, go ahead and plug it. But stuff like that bothers me, and I end up swapping out tires because I won't trust it. But how long will it last? Forever. All right, Alex is asking me, I just changed the brake master cylinder on my 2000 Honda Foreman, and it seems very hard and does not seem to brake at all, and also bleeded the brakes properly. All right. Well, that makes me wonder if when you swapped out the brake master cylinder, if some type of farm material could have gotten in it. I mean, that's a long shot, but it was important to clean up your machine, especially when you're going to open up the brake system, make sure nothing gets in there. And what type of bleeding technique did you use? And also, I know from experience, if you don't have the actual cover on top of the brake master cylinder, it doesn't want to bleed properly. If you just try to bleed it with it open, it doesn't seem to work. If you go ahead and fill it to the top, brake fluid, and then put the cover on it with that little diaphragm, see if it'll bleed through at that point. And I know it's a bit of a pain in the tail to take it on and off. And what I'm talking about the cover on top of the master cylinder. But I've run into that before. And give that a shot and then let us know. And plus, if it just does not want to feed through from up top, you may want to look into getting one of those little hand-operated Mighty Vacs and actually just using a vacuum or suction to pull the fluid down through. So you try just make sure your cover's on first, and then maybe invest in one of those little Mighty Vacs. You won't regret it. I love mine, so and use it quite often. You're welcome, Goldwing. All right, Laura's asking me, hello, John, just recently bought a 2005 Honda Rancher 350 electric shift model. It won't shift. I've checked all the fuses and got a new shifting motor, but it won't shift. Also, I bought a new battery. Well, I do know that they had a long-standing recall with the E-Shift models, specifically the Rancher 350, and it had to do with the angle sensor, the shift angle sensor on the front of the engine. It's actually right next to the shift motor. I would be very curious if that one's been replaced, and if not, it probably does. I mean, if you're looking at the front of the engine, the shift motor's on this side, and then you're going to see a black switch, so to speak. That's it, and it'll have, I think, a 3-wire connector plugged into it. So investigate that next and see if that takes care of it. Mark is asking me, I have a 2014 Sportsman 550, and hill descent stopped working, fuse is good, and fluid is up. Any suggestions? Well, you're heading in the right direction, but I believe on that particular model, when it puts itself into a safe mode, if you want to call it that, at that point you have to plug it in with the Polaris software to see what the fault code is that's making it say, all right, I don't need to do this anymore. So unfortunately, you're probably going to have to take it to the dealership, have them scan it, and then look for that specific code that is associated with the descent system for it. Sorry, that's not something that just the regular shade tree mechanic like me can do. You've got to have that program, and it only is available at Polaris, a Polaris dealership, because well, that's the way Polaris wants to operate. So it's going to be a trip to the dealership and let them plug it in and take a look at it for you. All right, Benjamin is asking me, I have a 2003 400EX. I'm watching your video on how to take apart and rebuild the top end. So the piston is really destroyed, and there could be a possibility of metal in the bottom end. Oh boy. Well, then you need to be really careful, because any small material, any type, especially metal, that is going to circulate through your engine is going to, if it can get to a bearing surface, it's going to destroy that surface. If it goes through some of the smaller inlets inside of the oil passageways, it's going to stop it up, and then you're going to have a big mess. I mean, it's going to get even worse. I would be curious, or I would want to know, I mean, did the piston actually come apart to where it actually let metal chunks get down into the bottom end? If it's that extensive, then you've got to go ahead and split the cases, if for no other reason, just to clean everything up, because there's no way you can just turn it upside down and spray brake cleaner around the connecting rod to get all of that, and the crankshaft to get all of that out of there. So unfortunately, you're going to have to go a little bit further. There's not going to be a long-term quick fix for you to take. So go ahead and split the cases. Yeah, and yeah, and you're answering your own questions as I'm reading your the feed here. Yes, you do have to split the cases. All right, Piston is asking me, hi from Mexico, why not talk about GY6? What do you want to know? Hey Marcus, I'm doing a live feed. Can I call you back in a few minutes? Hey, did it start? That's my only question. Well, call me back in a little bit and I'll get it answered. All right, bye. The beat goes on. That was the F-225, if you're curious. Evidently, they're missing a couple of things. I'm like, you're the parts guy. You don't know? All right, DeMonte's asking me, thanks, John. I have a 2005 ZX-10R that I'm doing a full rebuild on from the ground up. Your videos have helped me a lot through the process. Well, you're welcome. That's not one that we've done yet, but why not? Tracy, you know I want to do another sport bike engine build, so ZX-10R maybe? Kid is asking me, good day, big guy. You talking about I've been losing weight. Come on. I have an 06 Grizzly 660. What is the part called at the bottom steering stem connected to the steering linkage, not the steering stem bushing? I'm not exactly sure what you are talking about, but if you look up your year, make, and model in our parts diagrams, they're actually going to give you exploded picture, and each one's going to have a number next to it, and that's going to tell you whichever part you're looking at, what it's called. So I'm going to direct you over to Partzilla.com and do a quick lookup for that particular section. All right, this is killing me. David's asking me, hey John, I have an 06 YFZ 450 with a gutted stock exhaust and a CP high compression piston and new hot rods crank, and it has a little bog. I have a 180 main, and now what do you recommend me to run or change? Well, I'd be a little bit concerned about running a completely gutted stock exhaust system because you're not getting any back pressure whatsoever. And old drag racers figured out that the best way to tune an engine like you're talking about is to have a little bit of back pressure, and yours is just free flowing. Sometimes that has a negative effect, and I think that may be what you're running up against. I would suggest putting some type of muffler, a free flowing one but not completely open, to help with that back pressure issue. Benjamin, I have one more question. Thanks, John. How do I go about cleaning the bottom end once I have the cases split open? How do I remove everything to clean each part individually and then put it back in? How do I remove all the metal? It's just going to be a very arduous task of splitting the cases. And then at that point, you're actually going to need to take out your gear clusters so you can clean out anything that's in between each one. But be very careful when you're doing this because it needs to go back together exactly how it's coming apart. Now, if you do get a little lost and when you're laying everything out on your table, then once again, reference our exploded parts diagrams on Partzilla.com. That's going to give you an extremely accurate picture of how you're supposed to take things apart and more importantly, how you can get them back together. David is saying it was just the baffle removed. I would go ahead and put the baffle back in and then see how it runs. So free flowing does not necessarily equal more power, just more loud sometimes. All right, I'm pretty sure that's Czechoslovakian, and I'm not even sure what language it is, so I'm not going to be able to answer that one. All right. Oh, we're already out of time again? About 20 minutes. Okay. It is. All right, guys, I'm dying. Yeah, I hate to cut it short, but it's time for me to go home and get on some chicken soup, and so I can come back and do this again next week. Well, everybody, I want you to have a great weekend, have a great week, and God willing, I'll be healthy next Friday, and we'll get together again and do another live session at 3 o'clock. We just want to say thanks for coming here and spending a little bit of time with us on this Friday, and y'all have a great week, and we will see you next Friday. God bless.